Hello everyone, and welcome to the first, hopefully of many, Unifield video tutorials for the Bangladesh deployment. The purpose is to offer an additional way for you to have support and to learn some tasks in Unifield in light of the situation that we are not there physically to continue the training in person. So with this first video, I wanted to address a fairly simple task and straightforward, but one that can also help facilitate the picking, packing, and shipping of items. I had a discussion with Raihan in the warehousing coordination, and he informed me that there are three types of boxes that the mission uses to pack their items when they send them to the field. So I wanted to show you a function in the software that would allow you to pre-configure these boxes so that each time you did a pick, pack, ship, you would not have to encode the volume manually each time. So this is usually going to be linked to the user rights for the supply officer and the warehouse supervisor in each location. So to start with, the first thing we need to do is configure the boxes, create them in Unifield so that they are available to select on future packings. So for that, we go to the application supply configuration. And then once that page loads, you'll notice down here on the left is warehouse configuration. And then inside that option, you have regular warehouse management and finally pack types. Now it's very simple to create the different packs. The only thing you need beforehand is you need to know the volume of the different packs that you're going to create. And here you will see a list of all the packs you have. Currently in Coordination Bangladesh, we haven't configured any. So the first thing you would do is you would click on New. And it's good to give the box a name. And in this case, we're just going to be very simple and call this the small box. And then afterwards, you'll see here you have length, width, and height options that are mandatory for you to configure the volume. So very simply, we'll say that the length of this one is 50 centimeters and the width is 35 centimeters and the height is 40. At that point, you go to the end of the line and you click the update button and it will save it. And now you'll start to see the list of the available boxes. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that there were 3 box types. So I will also create the medium box. And we will just make it slightly larger. And finally, I will create the large box. And again, I'll just make these slightly larger. And once you've done this, you'll notice that you have your list of available boxes. Of course, you can name them anything you want, box 1, box 2, box 3, whatever is in line with the way you use these boxes. And this is for when you have standardized size boxes that you know you're going to use again and again. And once you create it in Unifield, it remains available for you to use on the different parts of the packing. So for that, I will show you an example of how to use it on the packing. I'll go to the warehouse and I will go to my deliveries and I will look and see if there's a picking ticket that we can pick. And if I look over here, I see there's one available in the sandbox and I'm going to open that. And for our example, I'm going to assume that we're going to pick all of these items and we're going to send them to the packing. So before I can do a packing, I need to create the picking. And validate the picking. Of course, you'll have done all of this already, following the normal procedure of identifying which items you're going to pick and send. But for this example, what I really wanted to focus on was how the packing function is able to be used with the boxes we just created. So now you'll notice that we are at the packing list for this pick, and it has two items. It has quantity 10 of the refuse bag and quantity 40 of the scouring pad. So in this case, we want to, let's say that this item is in box 1 to 1. We'll leave it the same. And for the scouring pads 40, we're going to say that this takes from box 2 to 3. There we go, 2 to 3, exactly. And once you've indicated the boxes, you would come down here and you select pack. And it will give you the option when you click on the pencil, you can either manually encode the length, width, and height for the volume, or you can come over here and click on the looking glass and say, I want the small box, the medium box, or the large box. In this case, we'll choose the small one, and you can see that it automatically updates with the volume that we encoded on the first page or on the previous in the warehouse management. And we will say that this weighs, I don't know, 10 kg. And for the scouring pads, we'll say that that took the medium box. And add the kg. And once you've indicated the different types of packs or the boxes for each set of items, and you enter the weight, you would click process, and at that point it takes you to the next step in the pick pack ship, which is the shipment. And you can see here that it indicates small box, medium box, the total volume, and the weight that we indicated. So this is just a way to automate some of the tasks that may be routine. If you have the same boxes that you use over and over, you can encode them one time in the software and then be able to select them in the future. So if you realize that you made a mistake or you wanted to review the types of boxes you had created, you would simply return to configuration, come down here on the left to supply warehouse configuration, and then finally regular warehouse management. And if you click on pack types, it takes you back into your list view of all the packs you've configured. And at that point, you have the option to edit one if you realize perhaps this was actually 75 centimeters instead of 70, and then save it. Or perhaps you no longer use a box and you don't need the small box as an option. You can delete it and say, no, we only have the medium box and the large box. So again, this task usually falls to the warehouse supervisors and the supply officer as the backup to perform this function. So yeah, that is simply how you manage the pack types in Unifield. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or let me know, and we can discuss this online. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.